Rishi Sunak is the new Prime Minister of the UK.
I will place economic stability and confidence at the heart of this government's agenda. This will mean difficult decisions to come.
Sunak referencing the economic turmoil under former Prime Minister Liz Truss, the sinking pound, the roiling markets, the unprecedented Bank of Canada intervention, and the overall loss of confidence in his predecessor's government that would land him right there at the doorstep of number 10 Downing Street. Abby Kugathasan is also in front of number 10 for us this morning. We listened to that address, the statement, live on CBC News Network. Abby, he talked about economic stability. He talked about the formidable challenges ahead. What else did he say?
Heather, I want to start off about the tone that perhaps the new Prime Minister was trying to set as he approached that lectern in front of 10 Downing. Usually there are MPs and advisors who gather here to cheer and applaud the new Prime Minister, but there was no one around from his team as he approached to make that address. Perhaps he didn't want to set a celebratory tone. After all, this is a country facing a cost of living crisis where millions of people are struggling to pay their electricity bills and struggling to even buy food. He did refer to the difficulties in particular of the last 7 weeks under his predecessor. He said that Liz Truss had noble aims, but that mistakes were made. Let's have a listen.
Some mistakes were made, not born of ill will or bad intentions. Quite the opposite, in fact, but mistakes nonetheless. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister, in part, to fix them. And that work begins immediately.
That was in sharp contrast to what we heard from Liz Truss earlier this morning. She was very much unapologetic as she gave her farewell address from outside 10 Downing. She even hailed the tax cuts that caused such economic chaos here in the United Kingdom. Rishi Sunak now inheriting the economic turmoil that she has left in her wake. And as we heard at the top there, he says that difficult decisions need to be made, and the British public now bracing, Heather, for tax increases and a cut to public spending.
So behind you, Abby, the work goes on inside 10 Downing. We understand putting together his cabinet. We know, just breaking, somebody who's not going to be in it, Jacob Rees-Mogg, has resigned as business secretary. Rishi Sunak is going to have to prove the legitimacy of his government to British voters and to the opposition. So in terms of governing, tell us and talk to us further about that.
Rishi Sunak is the second Prime Minister that has been installed by the Tory party. He was not elected by the British public in a general election. And when he gave his address a short while ago, he seemed to allude to that and tried perhaps to reassure the British people. Let's have a listen.
I will unite our country, not with words, but with action. I will work day in and day out to deliver for you. Trust is earned, and I will earn yours.
But critics, like the opposition parties, will say he was installed by the Tory MPs. And remember 7 weeks ago when even his own party members snubbed him and rejected him when they chose Liz Truss? And how can it be that he's now the Prime Minister of millions of people and of this entire country? So he, of course, referring to the fact that he was the Chancellor during the pandemic, trying to remind people of the successes he feels he had with the furlough scheme and other proposals that he put forward that perhaps helped millions of people, but the opposition calling this a coronation, demanding a snap election. Sunak has already ruled that out, and officially he doesn't have to call a vote until January 2025 at the latest. But given the party turmoil that we have seen, it's not even clear if the Conservatives will allow him to stay here at number 10 for that long.